Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, by Hashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And in this video, I wanted to go over the importance of the temple in ancient Israel, the first and second temples. Okay, the first temple, which was built by King Solomon during the reign of King Solomon when he sat on the throne, and as well the second temple that was built during the time of Zerubbabel. Okay, during the time of the prophet Haggai. All right, after we were, basically after we were escaped out of Babylon and came back into the Holy Land. Okay, to rebuild Jerusalem again, and as well rebuild the temple. All right, and also in this video, I also wanted to go over how the elect in these latter days are the third temple, the spiritual temple. Okay, because when you read throughout the scriptures, all throughout the history, okay, anytime our forefathers got themselves established in the land of Israel. All right, we always built up a place or a house where this basically this the spirit of the Most High dwelt in. Okay, to represent His presence on the planet Earth amongst the chosen people. Okay, and towards the latter end of this video, Lord willing, I'll get into how are the elect, which are a spiritual temple, which is going to be the third temple. Okay, the presence of the Most High will dwell in the house of the elect. Okay, the house of David, the 144,000, as well as the large multitude follow behind them. All right, so here up on the screen, I have a web page pulled up from a website called atticaschool.org. Okay, and the title of this page is "The Importance of the Temple in Israel." All right, so it says the Temple of Jerusalem played important roles in the religious, social, and economic lives of the Israelites as follow. Okay, and then below that it lists 15 bullet points showing the importance of the temples. Okay, and how it played a major role, for our nation back in the ancient world. All right, so bullet point number 1, it says it symbolized the Most High's presence among His people through the Ark of the Covenant, which was kept in the temple. Okay, so right out the back, all right, the one of the most important purposes of the temple, if not the most important reason for the temple, was that the temple was going to represent the direct presence of the Most High on the planet Earth. Okay, especially amongst the nation of Israel. Okay, and when you read, all right, in the book of 2 Samuel, the 7th chapter. All right, if I can get my pad to work. All right, 2 Samuel, the 7th chapter, and I'll start from verse 1. 2 Samuel 7:1. And it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, and the Lord had given him rest round about from all his enemies. Okay, verse 2. Then the king said unto Nathan the prophet, See now, I dwell in an house of cedar, but the ark of the Most High dwelleth in curtains. Yeah, so basically King David, was like, well, hold up, here it is. Why is it that, I'm living in this big house that's made out of cedar wood, which at that time was the best wood to be found, okay, on the earth during that particular time, are cedar wood, which mainly primarily came out of Lebanon, the region of Lebanon. David's like, here it is. Why is it that I'm living in this big house that's made out of cedar wood, the best wood to be found around the area. But meanwhile, the ark of the Most High and the presence of the Most High, is only dwelling in a little tent, tabernacle with curtains wrapped around it. That's not right. That doesn't seem fair. All right. Verse 3. And Nathan said to the king, go and do all that is in thine heart, for the Lord is with thee. Yeah, so basically, David, from that point on, had it in his mind, well, you know what? I want to build a house for the Lord. Okay, I want to build a temple, okay, for the Most High. All right, just as I have a house of my own. Okay, so originally David wanted to build the house or the temple for the Most High. All right, verse 4. And it came to pass that night that the word of the Lord came unto Nathan, saying, go and tell my servant David, thus saith the Lord, shalt thou build an house for me to dwell in? Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. 7. And in all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, Why build ye not me an house of cedar? Okay. Yeah, so basically the Most High is like, why y'all ain't build me a house yet? Here it is, all of y'all got houses, and I'm taking care of all of y'all, by putting a roof over y'all head, a strong, steady roof, so why ain't nobody, build a house for me and put a roof over my head, so to speak, okay, of the finest wood around the area. All right. So yeah, the number one purpose for the temple was that the temple was going to represent the presence of the Most High on the planet Earth. Okay, and then also not to mention, as it says in this first bullet point, that the Ark of the Covenant was also to be kept in the temple. Okay. Now, real quick, just to give a brief summary of what the Ark of the Covenant is, or was rather. Okay, it was basically like a chest, like a treasure chest. Okay, that basically that our forefathers, namely the Levitical priesthood, carried or with them. Okay, whithersoever our people dwelt. Okay, and through that ark, the Levitical priesthood of the old covenant would basically use the ark to directly communicate with the Most High. Okay, because within the ark, you had the commandments, or the 10 Commandments written on stone, as well as the law. Or you had the testimony in the ark. Okay, and under the old covenant, it was only appointed to the Levitical priesthood to be the only tribe to handle and interact with the ark. Okay, which is why when you read in the book of I believe it's First Samuel, the 6th chapter. Okay, well basically you had up to 50,000 Israelites. Okay, that the Most High put to death for going into the Holy of Holies in the temple. Okay, and actually looking at the ark. Meaning making physical contact with the ark, and basically not only did that actually happen physically, but that also represented something spiritually. Okay, because basically they looked to the ark without a mediator, without going through the priesthood first. And in this current day, okay, because the Ark of the Covenant was hidden during the time of the prophet Jeremiah, which you can read about in the book in First Maccabees in the Apocrypha. All right, because the actual Ark of the Covenant was appointed to be hidden during the time of the prophet Jeremiah. Now our Ark of the Covenant today in this present day is Yahweh Shai. Okay, because he's our mediator. All right, our high priest after the order of Melchizedek that we look to in order to have access back to the Father. Okay, just as back in the ancient times, we would have to go to the Levitical priesthood to go up to the ark into the holy of holies and look to the ark of the covenant, for us in order to directly communicate with the Most High. All right. Let's see. All right. This is First Kings chapter 6, verse 15. 14. 1 Kings 6 and 14. So Solomon built the house and finished it. All right, that house is representing the temple. Okay, because the first temple was built by King Solomon. All right, verse 15. And he built the walls of the house within the boards of cedar, both the floor of the house and the walls of the ceiling, and he covered them on the inside with wood, and covered the floor of the house with planks of fir. All right, fir from the fir tree. Okay, 16. And he built 20 cubits on the sides of the house, both the floor and the walls with the boards of cedar. He even built them for it within, even for the oracle, even for the most holy place. Okay, the holy place being the holy of holies. All right. 17. And the house, that is the temple before it, was 40 cubits long. 18. And the cedar of the house within was carved with knops and open flowers. All was cedar. There was no stone seam. So the temple built by Solomon was basically made of all cedar. Okay, all cedar wood. And then later on, Lord willing, in his lesson, okay, I'm gonna show you how. All right, as the elect, being the third temple, okay, are likened unto cedar wood. Okay, according to the scriptures, just as King Solomon, his main choice of material towards to build the first temple was cedar wood. Okay, as we're reading of right here in First Kings the sixth chapter. All right, so 19, First Kings 6 and 19, and the oracle was prepared in the house within to set there the ark of the covenant. Okay, so the ark of the covenant was placed, in the temple. And when you go into further history in the scriptures, because I don't want to read the whole entire breakdown of how the ark was built and what was what rooms were in it, and the exact way that it was designed and all that. But basically, within the temple, okay, the most holiest sacred place in the temple was the holy of holies. Okay, and when you read in the scriptures, all right, within the holy of holies, you had the ark of the covenant. All right. All right. So getting back to the article, bullet point number 2. It says it was a dwelling place for the Most High. Okay, and then it also references to First Kings 8, chapter 8, verses 12 and 13. So yeah, it was a dwelling place for the Most High. It was a house built, for the Most High, which as I went over earlier, okay, originally King David wanted to build that house, but David had too much blood on his hands to build the temple. So it was appointed unto his son, King Solomon, who was also his successor for the throne, to build the temple. Okay, and within the temple, okay, that the Most High commanded Solomon to build, the main thing that the Most High wanted put in his temple to represent his presence was the name. He commanded King Solomon to put his name in the temple. All right, real quick, let's go back to 2 Samuel's the 7th chapter. All right, to prove that. All right, 2 Samuel chapter 7, and I'll start at 12. And when thy days be fulfilled, this is the Most High talking to King David right here in a dream. All right, he's telling David, when his days are fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, meaning when you will die, give up the ghost. I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. And the seed after that came out of King David to fulfill this prophecy was obviously King Solomon. All right, to establish his kingdom, to forward the throne of David, his father. Verse 13, he shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. Okay, so the number one task, if you will, that the Most High appointed Solomon once he would take the throne after his father David was to build an house, or the first temple, and that for Solomon to put the Most High's name in the temple. Okay, and then as well to establish Solomon's throne of his kingdom forever, which now, of course, we know that that's not King Solomon or himself. Okay, his throne is not still established to this very day, but how is that prophecy ultimately going to be fulfilled? Through Yahushua. Okay, because Yahushua was King Solomon, all right, incarnated. All right, if you couldn't receive it in the spirit, all right, because that deals with the topic of reincarnation. But that's another topic for a whole another day. All right, but nonetheless, King Solomon's number one task, as while he was on the throne, was to build an house or a temple for the Most High to put his name in, to represent his direct presence. Let's get another precept. Back in 1 Kings 5. And let's start from the top. 1 Kings 5, verse 1. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants unto Solomon, for he had heard that they had anointed him king in the room of his father. For Hiram was ever a lover of David. Okay, now when it says, for Hiram was ever a lover of David, okay, that's not talking about King David and Hiram had a homosexual relationship. As brothers are starting with the apostle and down have encountered many bugged out individuals, especially among our people, who would like to throw slander, on our beloved forefather King David, claiming that he was a homosexual and using certain scriptures, all right, that they had no understanding of to socially prove that he was a homosexual. No. Okay, when it says for Hiram was ever a lover of David, that's just basically means that King Hiram was an ally of David. Okay, he was he had close ties to King David. All right, okay, because when you read throughout the scriptures, about David, King David and King Solomon as they sat on their thrones and in rulership. Okay, not every single heathen, they didn't always entirely necessarily have their foot of every single heathen's ass. Okay, during their rulerships, all right, because they had particular heathens here and there, particular kings and whatnot that they had ties with and made allies with, so to speak. Okay, and made particular deals with to do particular things and have certain lands and whatnot. Okay, and ultimately, they dealt fairly with them, to a certain extent. All right, and that's and that was the case for this King Hiram that we're reading of right here in 1 Kings 5. All right, so verse 2, 1 Kings 5 and 2. And Solomon sent to Hiram, saying, thou knowest how that David my father could not build an house unto the name of the Lord, his power, for the wars which were about him on every side. Yeah, so basically, David couldn't build the house because he had so much blood on his hands. All right, because one thing to know about the temple is that the Most High always required cleanliness in order to have access to the temple, and in order to in order to be in the temple. Because David wasn't allowed to build it because he had too much blood on his hands. All right, and then when you go into the scriptures about the Levitical priesthood, okay, in order for the Levites to go into the temple and do certain duties and whatnot, they had to cleanse themselves with water. Okay, they had to purify themselves. Okay, and then also in order to for basically a regular Israelite amongst the rest of the tribes to have access to the temple, they Salakia, they had to be circumcised. Okay, they had to be circumcised in the flesh, because being uncircumcised was also a form of uncleanliness. Okay, so the Most High is very particular when it comes to keeping his temple holy, all right, and hollow and clean. Okay, because that's where his name dwelt in. And as we know, all right, when you go into the book of Matthew, the 6th chapter, what Yahushua gave the Lord's prayer. Okay, what was said in the prayer? Okay, hallowed be thy name. Okay, talking about the Most High's name. All right, because the Most High, throughout prophecies and history and whatnot, a lot of times when the Most High does particular things, he does it to hallow his name, to clear his name up. Okay, and to basically keep dirt from being thrown on his name. So back when our forefathers had the temples, okay, one of the ways that they would keep the Most High's name hollow and clean was that they would have to go through certain processes of cleanliness in order to get in the temple. All right, including the Levitical priesthood. All right, so 1 Kings 5:3 again. It says, thou knowest how that David my father could not build an house unto the name of the Lord, his power, for the wars which were about him on every side, until the Lord put them under his soles, or subdued the heathen. All right, especially the number one heathen being Esau Edom. All right, verse 4. But now the Lord my power hath given me rest on every side, so that there is neither adversary nor evil occurrence, because Solomon's reign was 40 years of peace over all 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, and then verse 5, 1 Kings 5:5. And behold, I purpose to build an house unto the name of the Lord my power, as the Lord spake unto David my father, saying, thy son, whom I will set upon thy throne in thy room, he shall build an house unto my name. All right. So the Most High would dwell, or his presence would dwell in the temple, okay, through his name. All right. And within the temple, no form of filth or uncleanness or uncircumcision would be allowed into the temple, because that was, a form of the Most High hollowing, keeping his name hallowed and clean. All right. So again, getting back to the article again, verse 3, bullet point 3, not verse 3, bullet point 3. It says it was a century or center house of worship and prayer for the Jews / priests offered sacrifices, burnt incense, and prayers to the Most High in the temple. Okay, so it was a the temple, within the temple, our forefathers would perform many sacred, so-called religious, religious, I use the word religious, but many so-called sacred religious duties within the temple. Okay, they will offer up sacrifices, to the high priest. We would burn incense in the temple. we would pray in the temple. All right. Bullet point 4, it says all the now it says Jewish, but we know that our forefathers weren't Jewish. Okay, we're not Jews. We not Jewish, Slakia. Okay, we are the Jews. All right, we are the Israelites according to Bible prophecy. All right, we don't have to act like we're Jews because that's what we are. That's our nationality. All right, but nonetheless, it says bullet point 4: all the Jewish religious festivals / feasts such as Passover, Pentecost, and New Year was celebrated in the temple. Yeah, because when you go into the law in Leviticus the 23rd chapter, where it brings out the high holy days and whatnot. Okay, a lot of those high holy days were required to be kept in Jerusalem. All right, such as the Pass, as we reading right here, the Passover. Okay, as well as Pentecost. Because as a matter of fact, when you go into the book of Acts, the 2nd chapter, okay, where the time of Pentecost came up during the time of the apostles, it speaks about all those different Israelite men that came from all those surrounding nations, all right, at that time, okay, including Greece and Rome, all right, Egypt and countries throughout the Arabia and so on and so forth. Okay, all those those Jakes, okay, basically made pilgrimage to Jerusalem during the time of the Pentecost, okay, because they were keeping that law. All right, bullet point number 5: the temple was a symbol. The temple was a symbol of national security because the Jews believed that the temple would never be destroyed, and unfortunately, they were sadly mistaken. Okay, because of course, when you read through our scriptures and the history, the temple got sacked twice. Okay, first by the Babylonians during the time of Nebuchadnezzar. All right, and then later on down the history, it got sacked again in 70 A.D. by the Roman military. Okay, led by Titus, or led by Vespasian and his son Titus. Okay, and also with the aid of Tiberius Julius Alexander. Okay, if I'm saying his name right. Which, when you go into the history, and the apostles have brought this out before. Okay, Tiberius Julius Alexander was a Jake. Okay, he was a high-ranking Jake who was in the Roman military. Okay, who ultimately helped the Romans or go to war against his own people, or the Jews, the Israelites, and to sack the temple. All right, but now in this present day, okay, the temple that's never going to be destroyed, okay, is going to be the third temple, which is the elect, which, Lord willing, okay, I'll get into that later on in this lesson. All right, so bullet point 6, it says religious rites were performed in the temple, e.g., purification and dedication rites, naming, circumcision of baby boys, and lepers were cleansed in the temple. All right, so you had a lot of rituals in the temple being done in the temple for the sake of cleanliness and purification. Okay, because as I was bringing out earlier, when it comes to the Most High in the temple, okay, He requires everything in the temple to be clean. Okay, nothing unclean was able to get into the temple. All right, and then if it were anything unclean that would enter into the temple, okay, like for example a baby boy that wasn't circumcised, okay, or a leper, okay, immediately, all right, it would be appointed by the priest to have that person, all right, cleansed, okay, whether it be circumcision or going through particular rituals to cleanse that leper, all right, which you can read about in Leviticus the 13th chapter, All right, where it goes into the laws on how to deal with a person who had leprosy of the skin, all right, which today is known as vitiligo, or a person who had leprosy of the hair, okay, yellow hair, which today is known as blonde hair. All right. Bullet point number 7. It was a place for pilgrimage for the Jews living in Palestine and the Jews of the diaspora. Okay. So basically, the temple was a place for scattered Israelites and Israelite foreigners to basically find their way back home. Okay, to find to find a way home. All right, because as the Apostle Paul said in I believe Galatians 4:26, Jerusalem is the mother of us all. All right, and Jerusalem uh was the place where the temple was built in. Okay, verse 8. Salakia, not verse 8, bullet point 8. It says it was a commercial century and housed the Jewish treasury where currencies were exchanged and animals for sacrifices sold. All right. So it was a house where the Levitical priesthood would mainly make their revenue. Okay, by selling animals to for the purpose of sacrificing and atoning our sins. Okay, and as well they would deal with the money that they would receive from tithes, okay, and whatnot. But then ultimately, as you read later on throughout the scriptures, especially during the time of Yahushai, okay, Yahushai basically aimed, because the priesthood, was basically overdoing it, with that money and with the sacrifices, okay, and allowing that money to cause them to go off and do evil, okay. Yahushua basically interrupted all of those things and all of that money changing and money dealing and so on and so forth. All right, and that's when you read about in the Gospels, okay, where the incident where Yahushua entered into the temple, okay, and started flipping over all the tables, and took a scourge of nine cat of nine's tails, or a scourge of nine's tails, and basically started whipping those Israelite leaders and chief priests and whatnot, those wicked scribes and Pharisees out of the temple. All right, and basically he said what, as he was whipping them out, okay, make not my father's house a den of thieves. All right, because that's exactly what those wicked scribes and Pharisees were doing at that time in the temple. Okay, they were basically using the laws of sacrifice, okay, and those tithes that they were receiving, that our forefathers would give to them, to basically rob the people, and be a bunch of damn thieves, and Yahushai basically put a stop to all of that. Hence why those wicked scribes and Pharisees had so much hatred to him, to where they they felt they needed to crucify him, because Yahushua was messing with their money, basically. Bullet point number 9. It was a center for. All right, it says Jewish, but you know what? I'm gonna replace the word Jewish with Israelite. All right, it was a center for Israelite learning, where the teaching of the law was conducted. Yep, all of that was going on in the temple. All right, our forefathers were, being taught the law by the Levitical priesthood. All right. Bullet point 10. It was used as a court. It was used as a law court where social and religious issues could be solved by the Sanhedrin / Council of Jewish religious not Jewish, Council of Israelite religious leaders. Bullet point number 11. It was a symbol of Israelite unity. It united the Israelites as the people of the Most High, since it was built and maintained by kings. Yeah, so the temple was a symbol that represented the united nation of all 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, and mainly, the only temple that the only temple that was standing, when all 12 tribes were together in the Holy Land, was the Temple of Solomon. Okay, because King Solomon was the last king, all right, to rule over the whole entire nation of Israel, all 12 tribes, before the split. Okay, because of course, as you read in First Kings the 11th chapter, going into the 12th chapter, or when King Solomon dealt with those heathen women, okay, and started building altars to their gods and worshiping their gods. Okay, the Most High you know the Most High promised to Solomon, because of his sins, that he would rent the nation, okay, and cause the nations to split into two kingdoms, all right, which would be the southern kingdoms, okay, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and then the northern kingdoms, the northern tribes, all right, led by the tribe of Ephraim, okay, Ephraim, Gad, Issachar, Simeon, Manasseh, all right, and so on and so forth with the rest of the northern tribes. And according to biblical prophecy, all 12 tribes won't be united as one one whole nation again. Okay, until the you know until the throne of David is established. Okay, starting with the 144,000, which the 144,000 are going to be made up of 12,000 out of all 12 tribes of Israel, are pursuant to Revelation the 7th chapter. Okay, and at the very forefront of the 144,000 is going to be King David himself. Okay, whom which King David is going to be sitting on a throne. All right, at the forefront of the 144,000, directly under Yahweh Shai. Okay, and let's go to Ezekiel the 37th chapter. Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 15. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Moreover, Salakia 16 again, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick, and write upon it, all right, and that stick, as the apostles have broken down, okay, over the years, this stick, it's talking about something that would take place in here in these current times, in the latter days, which is the 12 tribes chart. Okay, that stick is representing the 12 tribes chart. Okay, for it says, for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. All right, Judah representing the other southern tribes, and Israel representing the northern tribes. Then take another stick and write upon it, for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. All right, so this is a prophecy right here that's basically speaking of the 12 tribes chart that all of us brothers use, whenever we go out on the highways and the byways to preach the word and do the work. All right. 17, verse 17, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thy hand. Yeah, one nation, because all 12 tribes would be listed on that stick or on that chart. All right. Now let's jump down. Yep. Let's jump down to 24. And David, my servant, shall be king over them. Who is it them? All right, over the 144,000, as well as the rest of the 1/3 large multitude, and of course, over the 2/3 that are going to come back in the kingdom as well. Okay, because King David is going to sit on the throne again in the kingdom of heaven, directly under Yahweh Shai. All right, 24 again. And David, my servant, shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd. And who is that one shepherd? Yahweh Shai, because we're his sheep. Okay, he came not but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. All right, Matthew 15:24. It says, they shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them. All right, because in the kingdom we're going to have the laws written in our inward parts with those new bodies. 25. And they shall dwell in the land that I gave unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and the children and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. And from the time that the second temple was sacked by the Romans in 70 A.D. up until this current time, okay, this prophecy hasn't been fulfilled yet. Okay, where all 12 tribes are gonna be basically ruled over under King David. Okay, because that won't happen until the kingdom. All right. So clearly, right here in Ezekiel the 37th chapter, it tells you that all 12 tribes are not going to be fully united again until the throne of David is established directly under the rulership and authority of under Yahushai. Okay, that one shepherd. So getting back to the article, bullet point 11 verse again, it was a symbol of Israelite unity. It united the Jews, the Israelites, as the people of the Most High. Since it was built and maintained by kings, it was a royal sanctuary, thus providing stability for the monarch. All right, so bullet point number 12, it was the residence for the religious leaders and the place where priests and prophets lived, e.g., prophetess Anna. Okay, and then it gives a precept, Luke, the second chapter, verses 36 to 38. All right, yeah, it was a place of residence for the priesthood. Okay, but it wasn't the only place of residence for the Levitical priesthood, because when you go into the Torah, okay, where it goes into which tribes got what portions of the land. Okay, you notice when you go into the scriptures, the Levites were the only tribe that weren't given an actual portion of land, because you had different portions and families of the Levites that were scattered throughout the lands where the rest of the 12 tribes were given to. Okay, and which was a necessary thing. Okay, because it allowed for the rest of the tribes to have a community, or so to speak. And I hate to use the word community, all right, because it goes back to an ancient pagan gods, or Baal, and so on and so forth. But for lack of better words, okay, it was necessary for them to have small communities, so to speak, of Levite, Levitical priesthoods in their regions. Okay, so that if they needed to offer a sacrifice or an atone for particular sins and whatnot, that they would just go to that small community of Levites within their region to offer up that sacrifice, rather than having to always go down to Jerusalem to offer up a sacrifice for their sins, because it was too tedious and time consuming in their everyday lives. All right. So bullet point 13, the Jews believed that the Messiah would appear in the temple. Yeah, because they believed that the Messiah, or that's prophesied in the Old Testament, would have this this grandiose entrance. Okay, to where when you see his birth, okay, it would be a spectacular type thing, to where you will see it and just know in your heart that, damn, this is the Messiah, coming down to the earth that's prophesied in the scriptures. Okay, but no, it tells you in the scriptures, okay, he was born in a manner. All right, he had a regular style birth, just like everybody else. All right, he was born in born in Bethlehem. All right, but then shortly after his birth, okay, his parents, all right, Joseph, his biological father Joseph, as well as his mother Mary, were given the order by the angel Gabriel, or to flee into Egypt, because at the time of Yahushua's birth, okay, and after his birth, all right, King Herod the Edomite sent out a decree to basically kill all right all Israelite sons, all right, all Israelite males are 2 years and younger, because even he knew, according to the prophecy, that the Messiah would eventually return. Okay, but then as some time passed, eventually Herod died, and his Yahushua's parents, came back into the land of Israel, into Nazareth, and as the Elder Yashawamba did a video a while back, okay, when you go into Nazareth, and how the city of Nazareth was during the time of Yahushua, okay, it was basically likened unto a low income neighborhood that you see Jake living in throughout America today. Okay, it was basically the hood or the ghetto. All right, and those scribes and Pharisees of Yahushua's time, didn't expect that the Messiah would come out of such an environment like that. Just like today in this society, nobody in this society, thinks that or believes that anything good can come out of the ghetto, can come out of the hood. Okay, where Jake lives in America today, because that's why even the scripture says that Yahushua made himself of no reputation. Okay, because he didn't walk around making it seem like he was this top notch guy, that this guy that you can't you know that you can't say nothing to him, that you're not worthy to be in his presence, things like that. This high minded, proud type guy, okay, with no humility whatsoever. No, Yahushua was the exact opposite of that. Okay, he was humble. All right, he was a man of great character. Okay, he and there's even a time where you had this young man. Okay, Matthew the 19th chapter, where this young man, all right, came to Yahushua and referred to him as a good master. But then what did Yahushua respond to him after that? Okay, he say, "Why callest thou me good? For there is none good but the one which is in heaven." Okay, which is his father. All right, to roughly paraphrase it. So Yahushua was a man of very great character, very humble. Okay, and a very lowly man. All right, something that you wouldn't expect from a guy, who's the Messiah walking on earth. Okay, in the flesh. So, bullet point 14, the temple was the only place where sacrifices to the Most High were offered by the priests. All right, yeah, it was the main place of sacrifice. Okay, because that's where our forefathers would go to make atonements for particular major sins that they would commit. Okay, let's go to the book of Hebrews, the 9th chapter. All right, this is the book of Hebrews, chapter 9, verse 1. Then verily the first covenant had also ordinances of divine service and the worldly sanctuary. Yeah, because under that first covenant, all right, we had a worldly tabernacle, a tabernacle here on earth, in the temple. Okay, but under the second covenant, the new covenant, the tabernacle is going to be a spiritual tabernacle, because it's going to be a tabernacle made up of men. All right, which is the 144,000. Okay, verse 2, Hebrews 9:2. For there was a tabernacle made, the first wherein was the candlesticks and the table and the shewbread, which is called the sanctuary. And after the second veil, the tabernacle which is called the holiest of all. All right. Verse 4, which had the golden censer and the ark of the covenant overlaid round about with gold, wherein was the gold pot that had manna, and Aaron's rod that budded, and the tables of the covenant. Yeah, so verses 3 and 4 is basically going into the holy of holies of the old temple, okay, where the ark of the covenant dwells in. All right, with gold, everywhere within the holy of holies. Okay, the golden pot of manna. All right, the tables of the covenant, and so on and so forth. All right, verse 5. And over it the cherubims of glory, shadowing the mercy seat, of which we cannot now speak particularly. Yeah, so you have the mercy seat also in the holy of holies. All right, covered by the two cherubims. All right, when you read about it, it was two cherubims likened unto angels that shadowed over the mercy seat. Okay, as well as the ark of the covenant. All right, verse 6. Now, when these things were thus ordained, the priests went always into the first tabernacle, accomplishing the service of the Most High. All right, doing the sacrifices. All right, in those rituals. Verse 7. But into the second went the high priest alone once every year, not without blood, which he offered for himself and for the errors of the people. Yeah. And under that first covenant, this was a very tedious task to do. Because when ultimately, when the people would go off, to a certain extent, it was only one particular time of the year where the high priest would go up to the temple and offer up a sacrifice for the sins of the people. Okay, which was a very strenuous thing to do. Okay, in the spirit, spiritually and mentally, because you would have to think. All right, if you're an Israelite, okay, and you committed a sin so bad to where you basically be condemned to death for the law, then you would have to rely on the Most High to have mercy on you and have grace upon you to live, to basically live to see that next year, so that you can go up to a high priest, to have him offer up a sacrifice for your sins. Okay, and ultimately our forefathers weren't able to continually keep that custom because of how much we went off. All right, in the ancient times, and sinning, committing sin against the Lord, all right, and breaking the covenant, okay, and ultimately allowing the flesh to get the best of us, all right, and worshiping these other gods. All right, so the last bullet point from the article, bullet point number 15, the Most High revealed Himself to many in the temple, e.g., Hannah, Isaiah, etc. All right. So yeah, so these are basically some bullet points going over this the significance of the temple, or the old temple, back during the time of our forefathers, because clearly, as we've read throughout all these bullet points, the temple played a major important role in our connection to the Heavenly Father. Okay, which within that connection we needed a mediator. All right, which at that time was under the old covenant, was the Levitical priesthood. Now, I said that Lord willing, in this lesson I would go into how, all right, because the first two temples were sacked by the heathen nations and their kingdoms and empires over the course of history, that I will go over how that now in this present time, the elect, or the new temple, the third temple, which is a spiritual temple, okay, that would never be destroyed off the face of the earth again like the first two. But unfortunately, some things came up, and I'm going to have to stop this lesson. And Lord willing, I'll continue it, all right, by doing a part two, all right, later on during this week. Okay. But nonetheless, Lord willing, I hope this is edifying. I'll come back with part two soon, later on during this week. Shalom.